A very good morning to all. This is Prashant Pandey. The topic for today's lecture is the definition clause of Industrial Disputes Act 1947. In this lecture, we will discuss the definition of industry, industrial dispute, employer, and the definition of workman. The first definition which we are going to discuss is the definition of industry provided under section 2 subsection J of the Act. According to this definition, industry means any business, trade, undertaking, manufacture, or calling of employers and includes any calling, service, employment, handicraft, or industrial occupation or a vocation of workmen. So, any industry which is carrying on the business or trade or undertaking or where manufacturing is going on, calling of employers and services where handicrafts are manufactured, these occupations and procedures will be covered under the definition of industry as according to the provisions subsection 2 subsection G. According to the phraseology of this definition, one can easily brand any business, activity, or trade as an industry in order to attract the provisions of the Industrial Disputes Act 1947. The definition which is given under section 2 will cover every definition or any industry within the ambit of their effects, which is not the purpose of providing the definition under the Industrial Disputes Act 1947. Normally speaking, by industry it is meant production of goods and wealth and with the cooperation of labor and capital. But it is not so under this Act. In the case of Bangalore Water Supply and Sewage Boards versus A. Rajappa, AIR 1978 Supreme Court, the 7 judges bench of the Supreme Court exhaustively examined and considered the scope of industry and prescribed the triple test. The triple test provides for the systematic activity. If in any industry any systematic activity is going on, this is the first criteria to check whether that establishment will fall under the category of industry under the provisions of Industrial Disputes Act or not. The second test is to check whether that activity is organized by cooperation between employer and employee or not. Third test is for the production and for distribution of goods and services calculated to satisfy human wants and wishes. Prima facie, there is an industry. According to the third test, if the activity is related to the production or distribution of goods and services which satisfies the human wants and wishes, then that establishment will be considered as industry for the purposes of this Act. So, according to the Supreme Court, these tests should be followed before recognizing any establishment as an industry for the purposes of the Industrial Disputes Act 1947. In this case, Supreme Court also held that absence of profit motive or gainful objective is irrelevant, be the venture in the public, joint, private, or other sector. Making of profit is not the criteria to recognize any establishment as an industry. Also, the true focus is functional and the decisive test is the nature of the activity with special emphasis on the employer-employee relations. The second definition is the definition of industrial disputes as provided under section 2 subsection K of the Act. According to this section, the following are the important elements to constitute an industrial dispute. If any dispute or difference arises between employers and employers or employers and workmen or workman and workman, that dispute in industrial relations will be considered as industrial disputes for the purposes of the Act. After that, the dispute or difference should be connected with employment or non-employment or terms of employment or conditions of labor of any person. The dispute may be in relation to any workman or any other person in whom they are interested as a body. So, the dispute may be related to any individual workman or group of workmen, or the dispute is related to any person in which the trade union concerned or the group of workmen is interested as a collective body. The expression of any person appearing in the last line of section 2K means that he may not be a workman, but he may be someone in whose employment, terms of employment or conditions of labor the workman as a class have a true and substantial interest. So under this category, after the death of any workman, if there is a provision of employment to the keys and wards of the deceased employee, then in that situation the interested persons who are not workmen in the present time will also be considered for a party to the industrial dispute under the provisions of this Act. The third definition is the definition of employer, and it has been dealt under clause G of section 2. According to the provisions of clause G, employer means in relation to an industry carried on by or under the authority of any department of the central government or the state government, the authority prescribed in this behalf, or where no authority is prescribed, the head of the department. Second, in relation to an industry carried on by or on behalf of a local authority, the chief executive officer of that authority will be considered as employer. The next important definition for the purposes of Industrial Disputes Act 1947 is the definition of workman, which has been dealt under section 2 clause S of the Act. According to the provisions of clause S, a workman means any person, including an apprentice, employed in any industry to do any manual, unskilled, skilled, technical, operational, clerical or supervisory work for hire or reward, whether the terms of employment be express or implied. Therefore, according to section 2S of the Act, to be a workman, a person must satisfy certain conditions. The first is person must be employed in any industry. Person must be employed to do any of the following works like manual, skilled or unskilled works, technical works, operational, clerical or supervisory works. Further, it has been provided under the provisions of clause S is that for the purposes of any proceeding under this act in relation to an industrial dispute includes any such person who has been dismissed, discharged or retrenched in connection with or as a consequence of that dispute or whose dismissal, discharge or retrenchment has led to that dispute. The definition provides for certain exclusions. It provides that the definition will not cover certain persons as a workman, first, who is subject to the Air Force Act 1950 or the Army Act 1950 or the Navy Act 1957. Secondly, any person who is employed in the police service or as an officer or other employee of a prison will not be treated as a workman under the provisions of Industrial Disputes Act 1947. Also, any person who is employed mainly in a managerial or administrative capacity under the industrial establishment, he will not fall under the definition of workman. Fourthly, any person who being employed in a supervisory capacity draws wages exceeding 10,000 rupees per mention or exercises either by the nature of the duties attached to the office or by reason of the powers vested in him, functions mainly of a managerial nature. So any person in any industrial establishment is exercising the managerial functions, then that person will not be covered under the provisions of the definition which is given for the workman. Next, the source of employment, the method of recruitment, the terms and conditions of employment, contract of service, the quantum of wages, and the mode of payment are not at all relevant for deciding whether or not a person is a workman within the meaning of section 2S of the Act. Therefore, according to this definition, the source of employment means who has employed any person, or the method of recruitment, what was the recruitment process, the terms and conditions of employment, the quantum of wages, how much wages is provided to the concerned person, and the mode of payment will not be treated as deciding factors for treating a person to be a workman under the definition of clause S of section 2 of the Act. The definition of workman also does not make any distinction between full-time and part-time employee or a person employed on a contract basis. So for the purposes of this Act, all employees will be equal whether they are full-time employees, part-time employees or contractual employees. In the case of Arkal Govind Raj Rao versus Siba Gigi of India Limited 1985, it was held that Where an employee has multifarious duties and a question is raised whether he is a workman or some other than a workman, the court must find out what are the primary and basic duties of the person concerned. And if he is incidentally asked to do some other work which may not be necessarily in tune with the basic duties, these additional duties cannot change the character and status of the person concerned. Thank you so much.